Alright everyone, we obviously have a special video right now because Biden just conducted himself in a completely insane manner. I know that happens fairly frequently, but this one is a major foreign policy blunder. A big blunder. And we have pre-existing claims by the Biden admin actually to go by in order to determine how big a blunder it is. Brittney Griner is now free of the Russian gulag and is returning to the United States. Apparently there was an exchange in Qatar, actually, for Viktor Bout. You will know him colloquially as the Merchant of Death. Arms dealer, big-time arms dealer. Gave weapons to Liberian groups, socialists in Angola, did meet with the Taliban and others in Afghanistan, although he claims he never had dealings with the Taliban or Al-Qaeda directly. Numerous other theaters, possibly Yugoslavia. So this individual may single-handedly be responsible, at least indirectly in the arms dealing sense, for the killings of thousands of people. Some of them are presumably U.S. citizens. He had fled to Thailand. He was detained there and, of course, was spending time in a U.S. prison. So Brittney Griner is freed. So, too, is one of the foremost arms dealers of the last century, or at least, that decade, for the Russians. Vladimir Putin getting back his arms dealer. Now, some people are saying, well, now he's not going to be able to do arms dealing anymore, so, fair trade, whatever. Do you not think that he still has business contacts, government contacts? I mean, clearly he did before, and the ability at least to lend his expertise to other arms dealers based in Russia? Can you say a provocation in the Ukrainian war? Supposedly we're at war with Russia, at least a proxy war, arming the Ukrainians. We've got vested interest in what's going on there, so we decide to take their top arms dealer that we've got in custody and trade them for a basketball player. That's basically what happened. Now, the charges against Griner were, admittedly, excessive. Spending, a decade in a gulag for having cannabis oil, at least from the outside looking in at Russian state policy, of course, it seems excessive. I would like to name a couple other names to you. One of them came up in the initial negotiations with Russia for Brittney Griner, actually. Paul Whelan is a U.S. Marine currently detained there on charges of espionage. He was there for a wedding, to be clear. He's going to continue rotting in the work camp. Biden doesn't give a shit about the decorated member of the U.S. Marines. What about Mark Fogel? Mark Fogel was jailed on charges very similar to those of Brittney Griner. He had brought cannabis into Russia and is currently serving, I think, an 11-year sentence for that. No mention of either of these individuals. Biden's like, hey, I got Brittney Griner freed. See, here's the problem. And I wonder why they waited until right after the midterms to announce that this deal had gone through. I have a sneaking suspicion that it was tacitly agreed upon beforehand, and Biden said, well, wait a few weeks till after the midterms. There'll be political news. When that dies down, then I'll go through with this trade. Here's the problem. Paul Whelan, at least, if not Mark Fogel, was initially named as someone that Biden was interested in having freed. Again, a U.S. Marine, decorated, had gone to Russia to attend a goddamn wedding, and he ended up getting gulagged. Initially, the idea was, hey, we've got this high-level arms dealer. He's a well-connected guy. If we're going to have a prisoner swap, we want a twofer. We want 2 for 1. Brittney Griner is for optics, and Paul Whelan is for, well, he deserves to be released because they're spurious charges, number one. Number two, he's one of our veterans, and I'm sure that Biden wanted that to go through. The problem is that Vladimir Putin pressed the issue by moving Griner to a goddamn gulag, and that's why this deal went through the way that it did. This is effectively Biden cucking for Vladimir Putin. Just to be clear about what we're seeing here, we're not seeing a fair exchange. You're trading an international arms dealer, again, probably responsible for thousands of deaths, involved with terroristic attacks in numerous parts of the world, ethnic warfare, tribal warfare, partisan warfare, running billions of dollars of weapons to people and outright skirting any embargoes because, of course, he doesn't give a shit. He literally worked for the Soviet military as a lieutenant before he started his freight shipping business, and then he decided that he wanted more money, so he decided, hey, guns are good freight now, right? And these people are willing to pay top dollar because there's an embargo on sending arms to them. And the Russian state's not allowed to do it directly, but I think that I can get things done because I know how to get things done. You traded this individual for a basketball player. What strategic value does Brittney Griner have? And by the way, Brittney Griner doesn't even like the United States. I'm not standing for the national anthem. I'm going to take the knee. Fuck this shit. Working in a sport that nobody even watches. Women's basketball. Have you seen the ratings for that? God damn. Off-season hockey is more popular. Golf is definitely more popular. I'm struggling to name a sport that's actually less unpopular than women's basketball in the United States. Yeah, have you ever seen the stands during one of the games? There's like 10 people there. So Brittney Griner gets freed because of wokeness. Because it checks all the boxes. Transgendered, black individual, clearly hip to using cannabis. And again, the other problem, and the reason this swap never should have even been considered, they should have gone for Mark Fogel and Paul Whelan in this. Again, a teacher, someone of value in society. Brittney Griner's clearly not. Whelan, again, a U.S. fucking Marine. These individuals should have been freed instead. Brittney Griner could have been jailed similarly, although under different conditions and for certainly a lesser length of time, by bringing the hashish, the cannabis vape oil, across state lines even in the United States. Could have gotten sentenced to the death penalty if Griner had decided to travel to Singapore for a game. Oh, yeah, we got a game in Singapore. Oh, shit, they found it in my luggage, and now they're telling me that at the bare minimum, I'm spending 10 years in jail in Singapore. Currently under the occupation, by the way, of the Chinese, effectively. Yeah, that wouldn't have been a problem. And if Griner, by the way, had been in a rando of any other sort, including a black transgendered individual in general, and not been in a sport, and not had a bunch of people crying out about how Putin is a bigot, and that's the reason why Griner's been detained and stuff, if people hadn't made so much noise, Griner would still be in the fucking gulag. And nobody would fucking care. The legacy media portrays Putin as this rabid, terrible person for jailing Griner. Very little coverage of Fogel, very little coverage of Whelan, etc., etc. Biden got pushed over a barrel, and Putin was holding the fire to his toes and forced him to make this one-on-one deal, which Biden originally probably didn't even like. The White House came out and said, well, we're going to go in hard on this one. We expect, Whelan at the very least to be returned to the United States. It's not fair to release an international arms dealer and we only get one person back. We want two people for one because he's a high-profile individual that had been imprisoned by the United States. Well, you didn't get it. You lost. Another example of Biden and his administration's great negotiating tactics. So anyone that's saying, oh, this is a big victory for Biden, you are completely, totally insane. That's about all. Peace out.